Greetings, hi, hello, welcome to and/or welcome back to my YouTube page. I'm Fire Lotus the Witch, and today we're going to talk about manifestation and just give some general advice, alright? So for one, you do not need to go out and buy the Lucky Girl Journal. I gotta fix the lighting on this, hold up. So, thanks to TikTok, it's not just TikTok, but it really grew there. You will come across things like the 369 Journal, the Lucky Girl Journal. Those are just some, and they're basically manifestation prompts. They're basically worksheets and stuff like that. And again, if you're neurospicy and that works for you, then by all means do it. Don't go into it though thinking that as soon as you get this book everything is going to happen, because I'm sorry, there's a lot of toxic shit in the spiritual world, especially when it comes to manifestations. So I'm gonna be real as fuck with you, and I'm gonna show you what's worked for me and what hasn't worked for me. Okay, for one, going into it thinking that you have to be in a positive mind state, yes, it will help. It is the same equivalent of witches grounding themselves and centering themselves with high intense emotions before doing a working. The reason that is I'm not saying bury that emotion or don't use that emotion, but you need to make sure that emotion is in check. That way when you direct it, basically you're using the emotion as the fuel for the working. You need to make sure you are directing that in the proper stance. It's the same reason why we have wands and other things like that. It's to help direct that energy, to center it, to make sure it goes where it needs to go. So, another triggering thing for a lot of people, by the way, it's important to know, I do not use the term mental disorder because we're not disordered. We're just wired differently. I have a lot of mental shenanigans, ADHD, anxiety, complex PTSD, and depression, along with agoraphobia and a couple other things. Why did I just bring those up? Because trying to go into it and just always focusing on the positive shit in your life, sometimes that doesn't work. It is good to help slightly keep you grounded, but going into things and just being overly positive, you're really damaging your spirit, and it goes against the entire concept of why we're on this planet. My reasoning: we are spiritual beings having a humanistic experience. Emotions come with the humanistic experience, the ups, the downs, and everything else in between. It is what makes us us. And to sit there and deny or ignore the other aspects of that, it's like ignoring the dark. You can't ignore the dark and embrace the light. You have to embrace both. It is the exact same equivalent of going into shadow work, which y'all already know my stance on that. It is not meant for everybody, and you do not have to have it. It is not a requirement to practice witchcraft or to be spiritual. And in fact, it's not a new concept, but it's a concept that's grown in popularity. And specifically, the shadow work journal that is on TikTok, the person who wrote it is not spiritual. They have nothing to do with psychology. They were a TikTok promoter, or they work for TikTok or something. So basically, you see what I'm saying? You're like, well, Lotus, everybody's talking about it. It's because they're getting paid for it. Every single time you see a video with a TikTok link, every single time you go through that link and purchase that, the person that is selling it is getting some type of profit. Typically, it's like 2 cents, 3 cents, maybe $1. And I'm not hating on that. You got to hustle to make your hustle. But to straight up lie and to puff up something and make it seem like it's the cure, it's not. It's going to go horribly wrong. Now, the other concept to this is one that I love. I hope I captured all of that because my tablet glitched. Our thoughts shape our reality, and our words shape our reality. And it does to a degree. To a degree, our thoughts are very powerful, and our words are very powerful, especially spoken words. But the concept that your words shape your reality, so you have to be cautious, I get it, but at the same time, for somebody with ADHD and anxiety, that's triggering as fuck. Triggering as fuck. So I'm going to explain why I don't think it's that easy, and basically here's the thing. So say you get into a spiral of the what ifs, right? The what ifs, that's your anxiety, triggers your ADHD, so now it's just repeating over and over and over again, right? Then that triggers fear. What does fear trigger? What does fear trigger? A shit ton of emotions that now you're applying it. So now you've just went through 3 major steps of energetic properties, directing it and applying it to that. Well, Lotus, how do I prevent this? For one, I always say this, smoky quartz is really, really good for it. Smoky quartz, and I always compare this to a dream catcher. I'm not saying go out and get a dream catcher, but the concept of a dream catcher is there's the net and there's the feathers, right? So the bad dreams come through, they get tangled up in the net and caught in the net. Then the good dreams come through, go through the net, sprinkle down into the feathers, right? Thus sprinkling onto yourself. And then the bad dreams, I believe, as soon as the first morning light, it like banishes them, right? Smoky quartz can be programmed to do the exact same thing. How do I program smoky quartz? You hold it in your hand and you say, hey, your job when you are around me or in my possession is to filter out the what ifs, filter out all the thoughts that I don't actually want so they do not manifest, and only manifest the things that I want. It helps me. I wear one. I'm either wearing it or it's in my pocket almost every single day. There are other grounding stones that you can get, but I've had more success with the smoky quartz. Another thing, did you know that there are some certain manifestation crystals and amplifying crystals? Why is that important? Say you get into a moment where it constantly feels like you're slightly disassociated. That may be the wrong terminology, but it's like your head's up in the clouds. You're surrounded by amethyst too much, and I love amethyst, but it is an amplifier, okay? Which means in spell work or with other crystals, it can amplify that energy. Another one, my also favorite one, oh my god, lavenderite. For some reason, I wanted to say that with an M. Lavenderite. Lavenderite is a manifestation stone, which means you're constantly wearing it is going to elevate the manifestations. Now, there's another concept that I've came across and I feel in my heart that it is also true, which is people with depression naturally have an ability to manifest due to the fact that it's the weird scenario when you're really in a low and you really, really need something to just help you or whatever, and you don't have any energy, and somehow we find an untapped energy and then we throw everything into it. The bottom line when it comes to manifestations, it does take time. So getting it in your head that if it does not show up within a week, then you fucked it up. You might as well just go ahead and put everything away and walk the other way. It's the same way with witchcraft and doubting. If you're doing a spell and as you're prepping that spell work, you're already doubting it, it's probably not going to work. Because again, you yourself are where the power comes from. All right. So, going into life thinking that everything just has to be positive, or, which I used to do, there's a lesson to be learned, those are the things that's going to wind up getting you off track and you're going to spiral. I'm not going to use other words that people have used. I'm just going to say, like I always say, always keep one foot in reality and one foot in the spiritual world. Now, what are things that you should manifest? A life lesson my grandmother, Nanny, rest in peace, taught me, and it's always stuck with me, is back when I was living with her, she's like, all right, when you get a check, what's your first thing you're going to do? And of course, I was like 14. I didn't have a job then, so I was like, I don't know, go out and buy some books. And she goes, no, you're going to ask yourself, is this a want or a need? When you get that check and you start to budget, you need to take care of all the needs. Then whatever's left over, you go back to the want. Why am I bringing this up? Because manifestation is the exact same way. Okay. Now, what is manifestation in general? Manifestation is manifesting something out of nothing. All right. But again, just like a lot of other things in witchcraft and spirituality, people have made it seem instantly. Or you want a shortcut. And I'm sorry, there's no such thing as shortcuts like this. What do I mean by that? So after you've done your manifestation techniques, whatever that is, if that's lighting a candle, burning it on a bay leaf, petitioning it, burning the petition, activating it, whatever it is, you're also going to need to go through avenues to make sure that you, on your end, I call it doing the footwork, of pathing or paving a path or creating an opening for what you're trying to manifest to actually be able to come to you. Okay, it's just like when people light a candle and walk away. That's only half the work. After the work has actually been spent, the candle has been burned or the working has been done, you then need to show the universe not only do you truly, truly want it. By the way, manifestations and spell work deep down inside, if you think you do not deserve it, it's not going to work. Same thing as doubting, right? And we all deserve to be happy. But I'm not even gonna lie, my brain just completely just went. Manifestations, there we go. Other techniques to manifestations, writing it down, paving the way, okay? The more that you pave the way, that's what I was going to say. Another aspect, if your manifestations are not working or your spell work's not working, here's something you can check out. Now, before I get into this, I am not stating or judging anybody because I also have depression and I know what happens when you have no bones, no legs, no spoons, no forks, no knives, or anything else. So, if you gotten a reading from me at any point in time, you've also heard this, you may be a pack rat. What do I mean by that? So sometimes when our lives are too full, spiritually, emotionally, mundane, material items, there's no room in what you're trying to bring in, right? It's just like a garden. If you've ever had a garden or known somebody that has, what do you do after all the seasons, right? You go through the winter, everything starts to die off. What do you do in the springtime before you replant everything? You got to go in and what? Clear that shit out. And you're like, well, Lotus, again, I don't have the spoons of energy. That's okay. You work out however you can in your life. But basically, here's the start. Ask yourself, what are you doing for me? So, for an example, I'm using a Powerade bottle. Also, friendly reminder, drink some water, okay? I don't care if it's tea or coffee, drink some water, okay? Take your meds, snack on something, and there you go, okay? You're doing great. Now, you ask it, what are you doing in my life? If it is not doing anything except for legit taking up space, okay? So if it's got a sentimental value, don't throw that out. Everything else, donate it, throw it away, give it away, manifest it in somebody else by literally just saying, hey, do you need this? Here you go. Now, why is this important? Because now you are creating empty vital space for the bigger, better things to come in and most importantly, take root. Okay? When you're manifesting these things, you want it to take root. That way it's not just here for a week, it is here permanently. Okay? Those are some tips. Another thing, just because the spirituality and egotistical thing, another thing that I learned that kind of started me out on all of this, when something bad happens to you, and this goes into manifestation too, because again, if we hyperfixate on the negative, we're going to be a magnet. We're attracting more negative shit to us, right? Also, do not go into thinking that every single thing that happens in your life is your fault. It's not, okay? I promise you. It takes a lot to get out of that thought cycle. But one of the main things that happened to me that kind of triggered a lot of things was when something happens to you, like you losing your keys, you stumping your toe, all the shit that happens to all of us, no matter walks of life you're on, and we automatically go, why me, universe? Why not you? Why not me? Why not anybody else? We're no better than anybody else. You see what I'm saying? Everybody goes through bad luck. Not to mention, there's the burnt toast theory, right? So you're getting ready in the morning. You're already running slightly late of your initial time that you do your things. And then the last thing, you just got to grab your toast and walk out the door, except for you burn your toast for some reason. Nothing was changed on the setting. It just burned. So now you've got to spend another 5 minutes to 10 minutes re-toasting that toast, right? This entire time, you're like, oh my God, I'm going to be late. I'm going to get fined, you know, all this other shit. In reality, what you don't realize is if you would have been at that road 5 minutes earlier, you could have been in a car accident. As much, I don't care what you believe, there are powers at be that will straight up refuse shit for us if they know that it's not going to go the way that we want. All right? So I hope these helps. Also, let me know in the comments what manifestation tips work for you. Now, I did want to clarify, affirmations, like positive affirmations, can help. But before you find something online, even if it resonates with you, you need to research, especially research the roots. Another thing, which I'm still trying to process, the starseed rhetoric. It came from a very, 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 very fucked up person who did a lot of fucked up bad shit in history. Okay, it mixes with the Motzies, if you understand what I'm saying. Yeah, the other method where you're like cracking the code. I know originally, I believe the I can't think of what it's called. Not the point. Just research the manifestation methods. Okay, and here's last thing: spiritual people, teachers, mentors, whatever, these are some of the things they're not going to do. They're not going to tell you that their teachings are the one and only. They're not going to tell you that their teaching, you're going to learn more here than you would anything else. We all learn differently. Okay? They're not going to do propaganda bullshit. They're not going to lead with fear. okay? And in general, if you're, and I've always said this, if you're having to take screenshots, if you're afraid of leaving a community once you've entered it, those are all major red flags, okay? I've been researching and practicing off and on, well, no, I've been practicing and evolving my craft for 21 years, okay? I'm 31. Do the math. Am I an expert? Fuck no. In no way, shape, or form. You could come to me and ask me a question, which, by the way, if you're new to this community, please do. Ask me in the comments. In order to learn, you have to ask questions. The amount of questions that I've been asked repetitively over and over again, and all it took was somebody wording it in a different way to eureka moments, ask, okay? Now, with that being said, you got to learn, and I'm not an expert. You ask me something this week, and a month later, you ask me again, and it could be something entirely different. I am still learning. I'm still figuring out what resonates with me and what doesn't. That is the point of the craft, okay? Manifestations, whatever you want to call it, we all do it, okay? So, there's also wish boxes or manifestation boxes. Get a shoe box. It can be gold. Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree has a lot of Christmas stuff, and Dollar General for cheap. But the gold boxes and silver boxes, they're great for it. Basically, you find physical representations, whether that is like a picture out of a magazine printed out, whether that is a doll, a toy, a Christmas ornament of like a house, whatever it is, you put in that box, which now you have physical representations of what you're actually trying to bring to you. Charge it under the full moon, new moon, light a candle around it if you want, and then put it away when you're not using it, right? Forget about it, right? Then, every single time you do manifest one of those objects, you go in and take that physical object out. Add another one. You can add crystals to that to also help manifestation. There are a lot of things, and this is the conundrum to witchcraft and spirituality. A lot of people wind up overcomplicating things, and then other people just want shortcuts, and that doesn't happen. You can eventually find them, but in order to fully understand and tap into your magic and find your manifestation, you've got to do the work, okay? And it's repetitive. Constantly doing it, constantly researching, okay? And again, lastly, especially for my witches, whether you're a seedling or a sprout, you're not a baby, stop degrading yourself. We all learn and grow at different rates. You could invest an entire year into this one path and wake up on January the 1st and realize you don't resonate with any of it. Most people forget that it's not about the arrival, it is about the journey, not the destination. All right? Learn and grow. If y'all have any questions, let me know. And again, let me know in the comments what manifestation tips work for you. Did the journals work? Did they not jerk? Did they not work? And I mean, I will say those journals may help you if you do have ADHD, just to kind of focus your mind, but you don't need it, okay? Also, this is not sponsored by Powerade. If anything, this is sponsored by Conjugadia. I'm totally joking. This is not actually sponsored by Conjugadia, but I did recently get gifted a candle. This is my Hecate Mother Maiden candle. I can personally speak Conjugadias. I've used herbs, oils, incense, and soaps, and candles. They know what they're doing. Go check them out. Plus, it's Yule. Check out small businesses. Anyways, again, share this to a group. Share it to a Discord. We have a Discord. Check out my link. My link tree has got all the things in there. If you have a deep question, if you want some advice, if you need resources, email me. If you would like to book a oracle reading with me or do spell work with me, again, email me. But yeah, check out the link tree. Go follow me on all the other platforms, and I hope to hear from you in the comments.